Ultra-processed diets pose significant risks for adults over 50, not simply because metabolism slows with age, but because the body becomes increasingly vulnerable to foods that disrupt hormonal balance, blood sugar regulation, and inflammatory pathways. The consequences are deeper and more insidious than most people realize. While younger adults may absorb some metabolic damage without immediate symptoms, older adults feel the impact more quickly and more severely. When diets high in refined sugars, industrial oils, emulsifiers, and additives dominate daily eating patterns, the result is accelerated metabolic decline that can quietly compound into chronic disease. One of the earliest and most dangerous effects appears in insulin sensitivity. After age 50, muscle mass typically declines unless deliberately maintained, and muscle is the body's primary site for glucose disposal. When muscle tissue diminishes, the body becomes less efficient at managing blood sugar, even under normal circumstances. Ultra-processed foods amplify this vulnerability dramatically. Their rapid-digesting carbohydrates, low fiber content, and high glycemic load cause sharp spikes in blood glucose that older bodies cannot clear effectively. Over time, these repeated surges force the pancreas to produce more insulin, exhausting insulin receptors and driving insulin resistance. What makes this trend especially alarming is that adults often feel no immediate symptoms while the damage accumulates silently. By the time fatigue, abdominal weight gain, or prediabetes appear, the metabolic dysfunction is already deeply entrenched. For many individuals, decades of exposure to processed foods culminate in a moment in their 50s when the body can no longer buffer the effects, and blood sugar regulation collapses suddenly. Cholesterol levels also shift in dangerous ways when ultra-processed foods dominate the diet. Industrial seed oils, artificial fats, and excessive refined carbohydrates contribute to the rise of small, dense LDL particles, the type most strongly associated with arterial plaque and cardiovascular disease. At the same time, these diets often reduce HDL, the protective cholesterol that helps clear fat from the bloodstream. Adults over 50 face a natural increase in cardiovascular risk due to hormonal changes, reduced vascular elasticity, and accumulated oxidative stress. Ultra-processed foods accelerate all of these processes. Many older adults assume that avoiding visible fats is enough, but the hidden fats in packaged snacks, baked goods, and ready-made meals generate chronic inflammation and oxidative damage that weaken arterial walls. Over time, this environment fosters plaque formation that may go unnoticed until a major cardiac event occurs. What seems like a harmless habit, regularly choosing convenient packaged foods, can quietly fuel atherosclerosis year after year. Inflammation, already more prevalent in older age due to immune system changes, becomes significantly worse on an ultra-processed diet. Additives such as emulsifiers, preservatives, and artificial sweeteners disrupt the gut barrier, allowing inflammatory molecules to pass into the bloodstream more easily. The gut microbiome, which plays a crucial role in regulating immune responses, tends to decline in diversity after age 50. Processed foods amplify this decline, feeding harmful bacteria while starving beneficial ones. The result is a low-grade, chronic inflammatory state that contributes to joint pain, fatigue, cognitive decline, insulin resistance, and increased risk of autoimmune flare-ups. Many adults attribute these symptoms to getting older, when in reality, they often reflect diet-driven inflammation that could be reduced with meaningful dietary changes. What makes these metabolic effects so dangerous is how they interact and amplify one another. Insulin resistance fuels inflammation. Inflammation worsens cholesterol abnormalities. Poor cholesterol balance increases oxidative stress, which further harms insulin receptors and blood vessels. The entire system becomes a self-reinforcing loop that accelerates aging from the inside out. And because ultra-processed foods are easy to chew, quick to digest, and engineered to taste comforting, they encourage overeating at precisely the stage of life when the body can least afford metabolic overload. Older adults often eat these foods for convenience because cooking feels harder, appetite patterns change, or mobility issues make shopping challenging, but the long-term consequences can be devastating. The warning here is stark. In adults over 50, ultra-processed diets exacerbate nearly every metabolic weakness the aging body experiences. They worsen insulin sensitivity at a time when diabetes risk is already rising. They distort cholesterol patterns when cardiovascular vulnerability is already heightened. They drive inflammation when the immune system is already less resilient. The danger is cumulative, silent, and deceptively easy to overlook. What begins as a habit of convenience can accelerate metabolic aging, reduce quality of life, and increase the likelihood of chronic disease in ways that may not be fully reversible once the damage is done. The older the body becomes, the less margin it has for the assaults created by processed foods, and the more urgent it becomes to recognize how profoundly these foods can undermine long-term health.